Hello, 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 hello. Am I audible? Hello, hello, participants. Hello, hello.
Yes, sir.
I am audible. most
Yes, sir.
अच्छा ये बोधे लिंक समय दबा पे टिके डिले हैला नहीं कि ओके should we start now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. अच्छा ओके हमें लास्ट this is the question decentralization and local governance. I think so. Is it the decentralization and local governance? We shall continue.
Yes, sir.
We have already we have discussed the concept, the significance of the concept of democratic decentralization. Then I think we have also touched upon various dimensions of democratic decentralized, like political, constitutional, and administrative decentralization. Then also
Yes, sir.
we have covered social, economic, and geographical dimension of this particular concept. Now the
Yes, sir.
next chapters, which is included in your text and all, that is how to uh, understand this concept in the context of decentralized development. So we shall discuss about understanding the very concept in contemporary settings. Like we have already explained the significance and the importance of the concept, and also today also we shall touch upon 73rd, 74th Amendment Acts, which have helped in understanding the working of the various institutional arrangements through which people can get the benefit of democracy. Then also we can be able to define and discuss the problems involved in this particular process. And also, if possible, thus we can also touch upon that what are the possible uh, suggestions for improvement in the working of this particular decentralized governance. You know, Decentralization has become a major element in the economic growth to meet the basic needs of the poor. And decentralization has become a major element in the administrative organization of the governmental services. And you know, the modern state is gigantic so far as its function is concerned, its performance is concerned, so far as the complexity or the nature of the governmental functions are concerned. You know, after coming to power in 1991, Congress government has really given much importance to the Panchayat Raj institutions. And during that period, a bill was passed by the Parliament on December 22nd, 1992, which is known to be the 73rd Amendment Act. You know, by April 23, 1994, almost all the states they have completed the process of enacting the fresh legislation on BRI. And the states of the Indian Union they have been directed to make the necessary arrangements for the successful implementation of this particular scheme, which was the product of this particular amendment. And that is why the Constitution has made it almost mandatory for all the states to make necessary arrangement so that that can be fruitfully utilized. There is a, and by 94 April, almost all the states they have completed the process of legislation. ସେମାନେ ମଧ୍ୟ necessary legislation କଲେ ଯୋଉଥିରେ କି ଏଇ ଯୋଉ amendment ହେଲା 73rd Amendment Act ସିଷ୍ଟମଟାକୁ ରିଭ୍ୟାମ୍ପ କଲା, ରିଭ୍ୟାମ୍ପିଂ ଦି ପଞ୍ଚାୟତ ରାଜ ଇନଷ୍ଟିଟ୍ୟୁସନ। ପିଆରଆଇ ର ଅର୍ଥ ହେଉଛି ପଞ୍ଚାୟତ ରାଜ ଇନଷ୍ଟିଟ୍ୟୁସନ୍ସ, ଯୋଉଟା କି ଆମେ 1957 କମିଟି ବଳବନ୍ତ ରାୟ ମେହଟା କମିଟି ତାକୁ ସଜେଷ୍ଟ କରିଥିଲା, 59 ରୁ ଆମେ ଏଟା ଇମ୍ପ୍ଲିମେଣ୍ଟ କରିଥିଲୁ। ତାର ଆଇ ଥିଙ୍କ ଇନ୍ ଦ ପ୍ରିଭିୟସ୍ କ୍ଲାसेସ୍ is more important is its successful uh, and accordingly uh, in the we have already, I think, made attempts that how in various stages of decentralization, in different stages and also in different states, one attempt was made to initiate the future course of action. ଆଗକୁ କେମିତି ଏଇ ଗଣତାନ୍ତ୍ରିକ ବିକେନ୍ଦ୍ରୀକରଣ ପ୍ରକ୍ରିୟାକୁ ସକ୍ସେସଫୁଲି ଇମ୍ପ୍ଲିମେଣ୍ଟ କରାଯିବ, ସେଥିପାଇଁ ନେସେସରି ଆଟେମ୍ପଟ୍ସ ଆଉ ଆରେଞ୍ଜମେଣ୍ଟସ୍ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ସ ମାନେ କଲେ। What is, first of all, the concept of political decentralization? କାରଣ ଡେମୋକ୍ରାଟିକ ଡିସେଣ୍ଟ୍ରାଲାଇଜେସନ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାର ଡାଇମେନସନ୍ସ ରହିଛି। What is political decentralization? Under political decentralization, people are drawn into decision making process. ଆମେ ଯୋଉ ସମୟରେ ପଲିଟିକାଲ ଡିସେଣ୍ଟ୍ରାଲାଇଜେସନ କହୁଛେ ତାର ଅର୍ଥ ହେଉଛି ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କୁ କେମିତି ଗୋଟେ ମିନିଂଫୁଲ ସ୍ପେସ୍ ଦିଆଯିବ ନିଷ୍ପତ୍ତି ଗ୍ରହଣ କରିବାର ଯୋଉ ପ୍ରକ୍ରିୟା ଭିତରେ, ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ର ଯୋଉ ପଲିସି ମେକିଂ ଆକ୍ଟିଭିଟିରେ, how to give the people sufficient space and successful space, and it signifies transferring of powers and responsibilities from central government to the autonomous and local tiers. କାରଣ ଅଲରେଡି ମୁଁ କହିଛି ଏଟା ଗୋଟେ ଡିଭଲ୍ୟୁସନ ଅଫ ପାୱାର ସେଣ୍ଟ୍ରାଲ ସ୍ତରରୁ ଧୀରେ ଧୀରେ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ ଲେଭେଲ ଦେଇକରି କିନ୍ତୁ ଲୋକାଲ ୟୁନିଟ୍ ମାନଙ୍କୁ, ଯେଉଁଟାକି ଆମେ କହୁଛେ ଲୋକାଲ ସେଲ୍ଫ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ, ସ୍ଥାନୀୟ ସ୍ୱାୟତ୍ତ, ସେଠି ଆସିକରି ସେ ଡିସିସନ ମେକିଂଟା କେମିତି ସେଇ ପର୍ଟିକୁଲାର ଲେଭେଲରେ ଆସିକରି ଅପରେସନାଲାଇଜ ହେବ, ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଇଜ ମୋଷ୍ଟ ଇମ୍ପୋର୍ଟାଣ୍ଟ। You know, hello, am I audible? There is, I think, some network problem. Hello, learners, participants, am I audible? Am I audible? Hello, 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 hello. So the first thing is that the new act has provided for mandatory elections for the local bodies at an interval of 5 years, and accordingly elections were also to be held to constitute the local bodies. प्रथम प्रोब्लेम होची लोकल बॉडीज जोड़ाक आमर ग्राम पंचायत हो, पंचायत समिति हो, जिला परिषद हो, विभिन्न टायर रो how that should be constituted, and elections provision of in case of states like Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Karnataka, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Punjab, initially the process of election was delayed. In case of Bihar, there is also some situations like deadlock situations, in the sense even the threat of central government to stop release of funds for rural development if the election were not held in time was not effective. That means central government also has pressurized the state governments to conduct the election to the local bodies in time. Otherwise, also in certain cases, it has threatened that we'll have to stop various assistance, financial funding and assistance to those particular states. And it is ତାର ଅର୍ଥ ସେଣ୍ଟ୍ରାଲ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ପର୍ଟିକୁଲାର ହେଲା ଯେମିତି ଲୋକାଲ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟକୁ ଇଲେକ୍ସନ ଗୁଡାକ ଠିକ ସମୟରେ କଣ୍ଡକ୍ଟ ହେବ so that the local bodies can be instituted in time. In most of the cases, elections were not held simultaneously for all the states. Actually, ସବୁ states simultaneous ଭାବରେ election ହେଇପାରିନଥିଲା, but in different times they were held. For example, in Maharashtra, elections for the Panchayat Samiti and Jilla Parishad were held in March 1997. କିନ୍ତୁ ଗ୍ରାମ ପଞ୍ଚାୟତ ପାଇଁ the elections took place in October 97. ତାମାନେ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ଟାୟାର ପାଇଁ ଯୋଉ ଇଲେକ୍ସନ ଟା at a time କରାଯାଇ ପାରିନଥିଲା because of many difficulties and all that. So we shall find also in the similar situations in Punjab, the elections panchayats were conducted in January 98, and for the Jilla Parishad and Panchayat Samiti, it was held in June 2002. देखो 1998 और 2002 ଭିତରେ almost 3-4 ବର୍ଷ ଗ୍ୟାପ୍ ଭିତରେ ମଧ୍ୟ election conduct କରାଗଲା. Also in Gujarat and in some other states, similar situations they have been also happening. So far as the urban local bodies are concerned, except Jharkhand, Uttaranchal and Pondicherry, municipal bodies have been constituted through elections, though there were cases of serious delays elsewhere for the first set of elections. So overall भाବରେ ଆମେ କହିପାରିବା, overall भाବରେ the observation is that the state election commissions, they have taken up the panchayat and municipal elections seriously, giving a lot of credibility to the grassroots levels of democratic process. And taking the cue from the Supreme Court order, that is May 2002, May 3, 3rd May 2002 ର Supreme Court decision ରୁ ଆମେ ଗୋଟେ କ୍ୟୁ ନେଇ ପାରିବା relating to the right to information of electors regarding the criminal antecedents, assets and liabilities of the candidates. The state election commissioners, they have issued orders in conformity with the Supreme Court order. So the apex court's order was also there that through this right to information, the electors can seek information regarding the criminal antecedents or background, their assets of the candidates जो माने election रे contest करूछन्ति से समय रे मध्य right to information बଳରେ elector माने necessary information आनि परिबे so that transparency can be maintained in the elections to the local bodies. The Gram Sabhas, they have given a political forum for the people to ensure transparency and also accountability in the system. All the state panchayat acts, they have provided for the constitution of Gram Sabhas and for them to meet at least once in 6 months. But unfortunately, the working of the new Panchayat Raj system during the last 10 years, they revealed that Gram Sabhas have not been activated to the desired extent. ଦେଖିବାକୁ ଗଲେ ଗ୍ରାମ ସଭା ଗୁଡାକ so far as operation is concerned, they have become inactive. And it was a matter of great concern, because the process of decentralization cannot be successful unless Gram Sabha are vigilant and sensitive to the problems of their unit. ଯଦି ସେମାନେ necessarily sensitized ହେଇପାରିବେନି, ତେବେ এই ସମୁଦାୟ system of democratic decentralization shall be really bearing no fruit. It shall be one useless exercise. It shall be one futile exercise. So, many studies they have revealed that barring some few cases, in most of the cases, the Gram Sabhas they have really become ineffective organizations. They have become inactive organizations. And the states have established the Gram Sabha, but their powers they have been restricted. Gram Sabha ରହିଛି କିନ୍ତୁ ତାଙ୍କ power କୁ restrict କରି ଦିଆଯାଇଛି. And the procedures for the exercise of the powers have not been clearly spelled out. So in that case, Gram Sabhas, even though they are in existence, they have become in most cases inoperative. Field-based studies they reveal that these bodies are not taken seriously by the functionaries of the panchayats, and the village community is not much interested. And this is mainly because the Gram Sabhas are treated more as recommendatory, advisory, and suggestive bodies. ତାପରେ କାହିଁକି ଏତେ ତାର ଫଙ୍କସନ ଉପରେ ଏତେ ଇମ୍ପୋର୍ଟାନ୍ସ ଦେଇନଥିଲେ, thinking that the functionaries they feel that the role of the Gram Sabhas are recommendatory. ସେମାନେ କେବଳ recommendation ଦେବେ, advise କରିବେ, and mostly there are some suggesting bodies. And that is the reason that why lip service has been given to this particular Gram Sabhas in most of the states. But you know, during 1999 and 2000, some significant steps they have been taken up by the central government. And during this period, you know, 1999 and 2000, 1999 2000 it has been termed as the year of Gram Sabha, because that was the year where certain significant steps they have been taken up by the central government to make the Gram Sabhas more effective and more successful. And you know, another important things to be discussed is in the process in these local bodies, how the participation of the weaker section of the society can be more effective. प्रथम जिनस होची अनेक समय इनिशियल पीरियड देखा गला ग्राम सभा गुड़ाक इनएफेक्टिव बॉडीज रहिला, स्टेट माने सफिशिएंट मध्ये केयर बा अटेंशन देले नै सेमानकर फंक्शन को इफेक्टिव करिया पे, बिकॉज़ दे इन देयर ओपिनियन दोज आर ओनली रिकमेंडिंग बॉडीज, सजेस्टिव बॉडीज, दे ओनली दे कैन सजेस्ट, दे कैन रिकमेंड. किंतु एई प्रकार जो ट्रेंड टा को चेंज करिया पे, to make the Gram Sabhas more effective in their operation, the central government 1999 এবং 2000 মସିହାଟାକୁ year of Gram Sabha ବୋଲି observe କଲା. The center has already requested the states to ensure that Gram Sabha should meet at least once in each quarter, preferably on 26th January, 1st May, 15th August and 2nd October. এই দিনগুଡାକ ମଧ୍ୟ ସେମାନେ ଧାର୍ଯ୍ୟ କଲେ ଯେ এই ଦିନଗୁଡାକରେ ନିହାତି ଭାବରେ ଗ୍ରାମ ସଭା ମିଟ୍ କରିବ ଏବଂ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କର ସମସ୍ୟାକୁ ଡିସ୍କସନ୍ କରିବ. 26 ଜାନୁଆରୀ, 1st May, 15th August, 2nd October. So at least एवरी क्वार्टर माने 4 थर अति कम रे वर्षकरे ग्राम सभा बसी विभिन्न समस्या विषय आलोचना करिवे. सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट हैज गिवन a direction. You know, then as I was telling you, the next part is that how the weaker sections of the society, they can take effective part in this panchayat raj institutions. No doubt, reservation policy karagala, various weaker sections of the community, they have been represented on the in the various tiers of panchayat raj, 3-tier system. परंतु ग्राम पंचायत पंचायत समिति और जिला परिषद लेवल 3टा को टियर स्तर रे समान के इफेक्टिव बा ड्यू रिजर्वेशन पॉलिसी समान पे रखा गला. अर्बन साइड रे मध्ये म्युनिसिपल सिस्टम रे मध्ये समान के पे रिजर्वेशन रखा गला. And it is encouraging to note that in the states like Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh and West Bengal, women have been represented in much higher percentage. So this is a very spectacular success on the part of the so far as the participation of the weaker section is concerned. Because किसी किसी state में देखा गया women participation was quite satisfactory. You know, the researches and surveys made, they reflect that the representation of the weaker section, particularly women, is not yet effective. अनेक रिसर्चर जो माने এই डायरेक्शन में समान रिसर्च सर्वेस कंडक्ट करछन इसका कहउछन तथापि in spite of maybe that in few states the women they have made spectacular performance, I mean so far as their role is concerned, but in most cases the representation of the weaker section and particularly women is not effective. It can be said that in the majority of the cases women have played the role of deaf and dumb and they are represented on formal panchayat raj bodies and municipal bodies by the proxy of their husbands. गोटे प्रैक्टिकल सर्वे निया गला जे अनेक समय लोकल बॉडीज रो जो माने वुमेन रिप्रेजेंटेशन दी वुमेन रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स तांको बदल रे फॉर एग्जांपल सम ऑफ देयर फैमिली मेंबर्स मे बी हस्बैंड एंड अदर्स they are speaking on their behalf. So it was somewhat like a proxy arrangement or other elderly members of their family, those who are performing the role of the women representatives. But that was really not solving the purpose. It was a survey. जो अनेक केस देखा गला जे अनेक women representative माने से माने तांकर निज जो रोल बा परफॉर्म ता करबा कथा, it was being done by a proxy arrangement either by their husbands or some of the elderly members of their family. Similarly madhya scheduled caste, scheduled tribe एमानंकर केस रे मध्य the picture was bleak like women. Their representation थिले भी सेमानकर रोल बा परफॉर्मेंस ता एते इफेक्टिव हे नथिला. And by and large only those scheduled caste and scheduled tribes they have been elected from the reserved constituencies who have the patronage of the dominant sections of the society, and they function like the mouthpiece of those affluent sections in the formal meetings of the PRIs and urban local bodies. ठीक similarly जिनते अनेक केस women representative मानकर रियल वॉइस ता वुमेन मानकर इंटरेस्ट को सेफगार्ड करि पाइ नथला कारण तांको पे सेमान को फैमिली रो अदर पीपल अदर एल्डरली मेंबर्स हस्बैंड एमाने सेमान पे कहउतिले. सो वुमेन इंटरेस्ट ठीक से सेफगार्ड ही पानथला. थिमती एशियन एसटी केस में तो अनेक रिपोर्ट बा सर्वे कहउची जे वर्चुअली the patronage of the dominant section of the society was very much there. So virtually their interest was not being properly safeguarded. because those SC and STs representative বা ପ୍ରତିନିଧି ମାନଙ୍କର patronage କୋମାନଙ୍କ ଉପରେ ଥିଲା dominant sections of the society. So they function like the mouthpiece of their affluent sections. ତେଣୁ ସେମାନେ ତାଙ୍କ ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ ବିଷୟ ନ କହିକିରି ତାଙ୍କର ଯେଉଁମାନେ ପ୍ୟାଟ୍ରନ୍ସ ଯେଉଁମାନଙ୍କଠୁ ସେମାନେ ପଲିଟିକାଲ ପ୍ୟାଟ୍ରୋନେଜ ପାଇକିରି ଧରନ୍ତୁ ଇଲେକ୍ସନକୁ ଜିତିଛନ୍ତି ସେମାନଙ୍କର ମାଉଥ ପିସ୍ ହିସାବରେ ସେମାନେ ରୋଲ କରୁଥିଲେ. We shall find that these categories of people like women କୁହନ୍ତୁ SCs କୁହନ୍ତୁ STs କୁହନ୍ତୁ ଯେଉଁମାନେ କି ଟ୍ରାଡିସନାଲି ସୋସାଇଟିରେ ଅପ୍ରେସ୍ଡ ହେଇଛନ୍ତି they could not play their role effectively because of these circumstances. And the basic reason of their non-performance, as we have already discussed, that on their behalf some other people were speaking. Their voice was represented by some other groups. So women interest, the interest of the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, they are not properly represented in the forum. ତେଣୁ ଅନେକ ସମୟରେ ଏମାନେ ଟ୍ରାଡିସନାଲି ଅପର କାଷ୍ଟ ଗ୍ରୁପ କୁହନ୍ତୁ ସେମାନଙ୍କ ଦ୍ୱାରା ପ୍ୟାଟ୍ରୋନାଇଜ୍ଡ ହେଉଥିବାରୁ ତାଙ୍କର ଭଏସଟା ଲୁକାୟିତ ହେଇକି ରହୁଥିଲା, ସପ୍ରେସ୍ଡ ହେଇକି ରହୁଥିଲା. Also it is found that in some places the Panchayat Raj and municipal representatives are missing their power, and also the powers in the hands of these representatives, I mean women representatives or the SCs, STs representatives, the powers they have been misused. Then another important aspect we can touch upon the representation of the MLAs and MPs in the Panchayat Raj institutions. You know, the provisions of the voting right to the MPs and MLAs in the capacity of ex officio members is also questioned on the ground that it would lead to over domination of panchayats and municipalities by them. And you know, this is contrary to the spirit of decentralization. In most of the states, the MLAs and MPs are the members of intermediary panchayat and jilla parishads, and they have voting rights in the meetings of the concerned panchayats. So on the whole, the analysis of the political decentralization, it reveals that most of the states of Indian Union, they have conducted their panchayat and municipal elections in time. All the states have provided the necessary political position to elected representatives at all the three tiers, that is Gram Panchayat, Panchayat Samiti and Jilla Parishad. Then, so far as the participation of the people is concerned, the state of Kerala has taken special measures under the People's Plan campaign, on which awareness building activities like cultural shows, village meetings, door-to-door campaign, dissemination of information through visual and print media, these things are organized, particularly in the state of Kerala. Because you know the literacy level is higher, that is why these types of methods and techniques have been used, so that states like Kerala, they have taken special measures to to take up this particular campaigns and all that to make the local governance more effective and successful. Then এটা আমি অল্প বহুত পলিটিক্যাল ডিসেন্ট্রালাইজেশন বিষয়ে পড়িলি। Then you can come upon political decentralization. Sorry, this is we have already discussed about that. We can come upon the functional decentralization. कार्यात्मक विकेंद्रीकरण फंक्शनल साइड रे केमती हमें विकेंद्रीकरण करिबा एटा तो पॉलिटिकल अरेंजमेंट हम कहले केमती इलेक्शन होबो how the gram sabha and the election to other bodies can be conducted, how the representation of the women section or other weaker sections of the society like SCs and STs can be more effective, how can or how should we prevent the proxy arrangements. Proxy arrangement अर्थ जी actually रिप्रेजेंटेटिव सी तार सेक्शन को रिप्रेजेंट करू तापे जदि आउ जने व्यक्ति रिप्रेजेंट करिवो तबे सेमानकर इंटरेस्ट ठीक से सेफगार्ड हे परिबो नाही। Now we shall discuss about functional decentralization. Functional अर्थ होची प्रत्येक स्तर टायर अर्थ स्तर पंचायत राज इंस्टीट्यूशन प्रत्येक स्तर रे फंक्शनली किंतु सेमान को इफेक्टिव करा जीवो। यू नो अनेक समय देखा जायछि थ्री टायर सिस्टम रो तीन टाक स्तर भितरे फंक्शनल डिलिनिएशन टा ठीक भाव रे करा जाय नाही। किए को कामटा करिवो ईयर मार्क भाव रे विस्तृत भाव रे ताकू डिलिनिएट करा जाय नाही। अवश्य आम 11th और 12th शेड्यूल जोटा 73rd 74th अमेंडमेंट एक्ट जो खाई शेड्यूल गुड़ाक अनुच्छेद देयर आर 29 and 18 आइटम्स देम इंक्लूडेड जे या ऊपर और लोकल बॉडीज माने सेमानकर कार्यक्षमता को सीमित रखि परिबे बा तापर से लेजिस्लेट करि परिबे। बट इट इज नॉट क्लियर as to what functions are to be performed by each tier. आइटम्स गुड़ा लिखाई जाइए अनुच्छेद किंतु की प्रकार फंक्शन रिलेटिंग टू दोज सब्जेक्ट्स और आइटम्स कैन बी परफॉर्म से गुड़ा विस्तृत भाव रे बा प्रांजल भाव रे सेथरे बुझाई दिया जाय नाही। सो वी फाइंड दैट द पावर्स एंड फंक्शंस एंट्रस्टेड टू दिस PRIs और द अर्बन लोकल बॉडीज PRI गुड़ा सब मन रखंतु रूरल साइड रो पंचायत राज सिस्टम ता रूरल लोकल सेल्फ गवर्नमेंट। अर्बन रे आपनकर NAC रहिला म्युनिसिपैलिटी रहिला म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन रहिला एनो जो समय हमें व्हाट आई यूज करछे PRIs मींस दीज आर रूरल लोकल बॉडीज। प्लीज रिमेंबर दे वेरी फ्रॉम स्टेट टू स्टेट गोटे राज्य रो आ गोटे राज्य बा गोटे प्रदेश रो आ गोटे प्रदेश भितरे देयर आर वेरिएशंस जे को टायर को केते फंक्शनल इंडिपेंडेंस दिया जायछि। एंड यू नो three types of models emerge with regard to the powers and function of the PRIs. तीन प्रकार मॉडल पंचायत राज इंस्टीट्यूशन मान को विभिन्न स्टेट केमती फंक्शन करूछन तीनटा मॉडल हेतु इमर्ज होईची। प्रथमे states which have drawn the list of functions and activities for different levels of panchayats in a routine manner, and that has been checked out on the basis of the 11th schedule. And these states have also added some other functions like preparation of annual plans, consolidation of the plans prepared by the lower level of panchayats, and preparation of annual budget. It was the first model. Second model also with regard to the power and function of the PRIs is which is prevalent in the states like Odisha, Kerala, Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh re bhi second model ta rohichi, Tamil Nadu. In these states the functions have been categorized under two heads, obligatory and discretionary functions. आपन जेतले क्वेश्चन ମଧ୍ୟ ପରୀକ୍ଷା ପରୀକ୍ଷା ଦେଖୁଥିବେ ପଢୁଥିବେ व्हाट आर द obligatory functions of ग्राम पंचायत, व्हाट आर द obligatory function of the पंचायत समिति। एणु यही सब स्टेट मानकरे सेमानक फंक्शन को विशेष कर दी प्रकार विभक्त कराई कैटेगोराइज कराई ओब्लिगेटरी फंक्शन बा मैंडेटरी फंक्शन आ गोटे होची डिस्क्रिशनरी बा जोटा कि ऑप्शनल फंक्शन करा होची जो कार्य गुड़ाक से करिया को बाध्य आउ जोड़ाक इच्छाधीन। धरतु गोटे मुझे एग्जांपल देवी जे जिला परिषद बा ग्राम पंचायत बा एतरे लोक मानकर एंटरटेनमेंट पे व्यवस्था करबा एटा होची गोटे इच्छाधीन कार्य ऑप्शनल, किंतु लोक मानकर स्वास्थ्य और परिमल विषय रे सफिशिएंट व्यवस्था करबा एटा होची गोटे मैंडेटरी बा कंपलसरी कार्य, कारण लोकंकर स्वास्थ्यटा होची प्राइमरी। तापर सेमानकर पाखरे फंड बळिले बा विभिन्न सेमानकर समय सुविधा देखिकरी सेमाने अवसर विनोदनर व्यवस्था करि परिबे। डिपेंडिंग ऑन द नेचर, I mean providing health service is primary, so the function is compulsory, obligatory, communication, road, किंतु आउ किछि किछि कार्य रहिछि जेमति कहली अवसर विनोदन बा सफिशिएंट रिक्रिएशन सेंटर करबा एकबे एडा सब ऑप्शनल। एडा होछि सेकंड मॉडल। आउ गोटे मॉडल ऑफ फंक्शनल डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन मध्ये रहिछि that the states like Himachal Pradesh, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh से third model ता कार्यकारी होची, which have drawn their own list of course, keeping in view the subjects listed in the 11th schedule. एनो निजर सुविधा, निजर रिसोर्सेस, निजर मैन पावर को देखिकरी विभिन्न स्टेट ए फंक्शनल डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन टाको इफेक्टिव करछन। सो इट वैरीज। एमो एथरो बुझा पड़ुची that there is absence of the clear cut functional jurisdiction of the PRIs। पंचायत राज इंस्टीट्यूशन मानकर मध्यरे गोटे क्लियर कट भाव रे तांका फंक्शन को डिसेंट्रलाइज करिवार व्यवस्था प्रायतः नाही, गोटे स्पष्ट भाव रे कोनसी क्लियर कट डिलिनेशन करा जाय नाही। सो दिस इज अबाउट द PRIs। आमे जो डिस्कशन टा कले मॉडल पंचायत राज इंस्टीट्यूशंस पाई, तार अर्थ आमे लोकल अर्बन सेल्फ गवर्नमेंट ग्रामांचल स्वायत्त स्थानीय स्वायत्त शासन विषय एति कहले। व्हाट अबाउट द अर्बन साइड, शहरांचल व्यवस्था रे कोन कराई छी? We shall find on the other hand all the major states they have assigned to their urban local bodies when कूड़ा देखंतु म्युनिसिपैलिटी कहंतु, नोटिफाइड एरिया काउंसिल कहंतु, कॉर्पोरेशंस कहंतु, म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशंस, म्युनिसिपल काउंसिल एमन होचंती शहरांचल साइड रे जो माने ऑपरेट करचंती स्थानीय लोकल गवर्नमेंट। एंड कंपैरेटिवली PRIs so far as the panchayat raj institution is concerned, there is no clear cut delineation of the functional decentralization, but we shall find in case of the urban local bodies, the states have assigned to their urban local bodies the responsibility of public health, sanitation, conservancy, solid waste management। देखो एगुड़ा को क्लियर कटली से माने अर्बन लोकल बॉडीज मान को असाइन करछंती। And you know this is schedule 12। Then provision of the urban amenities and facilities such like parks, gardens, playgrounds। सहरांचल रे पार्क केमति हबो, गार्डन केमति तयारी हबो, मेंटेनेंस ऑफ द प्लेग्राउंड्स, This is item 12 of the schedule 12 of the state list. Then burials and burial grounds, cremation, crematorium, शव सत्कार समस्त व्यवस्था मध्य से माने लोकल बॉडीज मान को देइछंती. Then regulation of the slaughterhouses and tanneries. And you know, so all the major states, they have assigned to their urban local bodies the responsibility of these matters. ସେମାନେ ସେଙ୍କୁ ଆସାଇନ୍ କରିଛନ୍ତି. ତେଣୁ ପ୍ରାୟ ପ୍ରତ୍ୟେକ ପ୍ରଦେଶ ବା ରାଜ୍ୟ ଗୁଡ଼ିକ ସେମାନଙ୍କର ଅର୍ବାନ୍ ଲୋକାଲ ବଡିଜ୍ ମାନଙ୍କୁ ଏହି ରେସ୍ପନ୍ସିବିଲିଟି ଦେଇଛନ୍ତି. ଅର୍ବାନ୍ ଫରେଷ୍ଟ୍ରି ମଧ୍ୟ ଦେଇଛନ୍ତି. ପ୍ରୋଟେକ୍ସନ୍ ଅଫ୍ ଏନଭାୟରନମେଣ୍ଟ, ପ୍ରମୋସନ୍ ଅଫ୍ ଇକୋଲୋଜିକାଲ ଆସ୍ପେକ୍ଟସ୍, then also like cattle mounts, prevention of cruelty to animals, এই provision ଗୁଡାକ ମଧ୍ୟ ରହିଛି. roads and bridges construction and maintenance, public amenities including street lighting, bus stop, public conveniences. ଆମର ଧରନ୍ତୁ ସୁଲଭ ଶୌଚାଳୟ, it is a public convenience which is available municipality ଦ୍ୱାରା ବା ବିଭିନ୍ନ ସହରାଞ୍ଚଳରେ କରାହେଇଛି. So even with few exceptions, the states have assigned safeguarding the interest of the weaker section of the society. Weaker section of the society ମାନଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ ମଧ୍ୟ sufficient provision କରା ଯାଇଛି. Safeguarding the interest of the weaker section like handicapped, mentally retarded, and also adequate provision to be made for promotion of cultural, educational, and aesthetic aspects. Thus, it becomes clear that even in the case of the urban local bodies, there is absence of clear-cut functional jurisdiction. And in many states, these functions are delegated through executive orders rather than transferred through a piece of legislation. ତେଣୁ ଅନେକ ଜାଗାରେ ଲେଜିସ୍ଲେସନ ଦ୍ୱାରା ନୁହେଁ ବରଂ ଏକ୍ଜିକ୍ୟୁଟିଭ ଅର୍ଡର ଦ୍ୱାରା ଏ ପ୍ରକାର ଫଙ୍କସନାଲ ଡିସେଣ୍ଟ୍ରାଲାଇଜେସନ କରାଯାଇଛି. So that they can be easily withdrawn. Executive order ଟା ଦ୍ୱାରା ଯଦି arrangement କରାଯିବ, withdrawal of those particular provisions can be easier. And legislation through ରେ କଲେ it is difficult to withdraw. And you know, some of the states, they have transferred their schemes of local nature along with the funds and functionaries. So this is more or less about the devolution of functional the powers and all that. So this is regarding प्रथमे हमें political decentralization विषय अल्प बहुत कहले माने केमती फॉर्मेशन हबो केमती MPs MLAs बा local representatives मानकर रोल बा how they will be constituted, एटा सो political decentralization. एबे जोडा का हमें डिस्कस करथुले एटा होची फंक्शनल डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन. काहा को की प्रकार फंक्शन दिया जिवो, पीआरएज माने कोन कोन फंक्शन विभिन्न टायर रे करिवे विभिन्न स्तर रे, अर्बन लोकल बॉडीज माने मध्य कि सेमन केमती परफॉर्मेंस ताकर देबे. The next one is administrative decentralization. You know, शासनगत विकेंद्रीकरण. You know, it involves planning and implementation. Administration अर्थ कोन? It involves planning and implementation and also the responsibilities with the local bodies and assigning the roles and responsibilities to various functionaries, elected members. Then how to monitor various programs and provisions. चलो जो प्रोग्राम बा जो फंक्शन का असाइन करा गला सेगुडा का विभिन्न स्तर रे ठीक भाव रे इंप्लीमेंट होउची कि नै ताको मॉनिटर करबा और वेरियस units those who are performing those functions seମାନଙ୍କ bhitere kemti coordination aସୁchi na seটা ଦେଖିବା. So task of supervision, coordination, planning, or to oversee that whether the functions they have been assigned to them are successfully implemented or not. These are all coming under the administrative decentralization. So the under this administrative decentralization, performance aspect is coming. Performance evaluation. ଯେ ଯୋଉ ଫଙ୍କସନଟା ତାଙ୍କୁ ଦିଆଯାଇଛି ସେମାନେ ଠିକ ଭାବରେ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ନାହିଁ. You know, then we can say ଯେ ତିନିଟା ଲେଭେଲରେ ଭିତରେ କୋଅର୍ଡିନେସନର ଆବଶ୍ୟକତା ଅଛି. So that the decentralization can be effective. Because it is observed that during the last years, বিভিন্ন বিগত বর্ষগুলিকরে one of the weaknesses of decentralization which has come to our notice is the problem of coordination. Coordination among what? Among the three levels of PRIs and urban local bodies. On the one hand, and also lack of coordination between bureaucracy and NGOs. कारण आपण देखिए एबे प्लानिंग सेक्टर रे एनजीओ मान को मध्य बाय एपरि के डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन स्फीयर रे मध्य वॉलंटियर सेक्टर्स नॉन गवर्नमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन सेमान को मध्य सफिशिएंट स्कोप एवं ऑपरेशनल इंडिपेंडेंस दिया जायछि. But it is observed that there is lack of coordination among various tiers of the local self-government, both on the rural and urban side. And also there is a lack of coordination between bureaucracy and NGOs on the other. ତେଣୁ coordination ବିଷୟରେ ଯଦି ଆମେ ତାର ଅବଧାରଣା କରିବା ବା we shall look to the matter, certain points shall emerge before us. You know, there is a lack of clarity in regard to the distribution of powers and functions among the three tiers. Then the Panchayat Raj and municipal acts of various states are quite vague as to whether the PRIs or the urban local bodies are the implementing agencies of the development program or they are both planning and implementing agencies. से विषय मध्य सफिशिएंट क्लैरिटी नहीं जे ସେମାନେ केवल प्लानिंग ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कि बोथ प्लानिंग एंड इंप्लीमेंटिंग ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. That is to be made clear. So the above mentioned facts create the problem of coordination and raise a question in regard to the utility and usefulness of decentralization. That to what extent devolution of power is effective so that the people get the benefit out of this decentralization process. Otherwise, in spite of all these detailed arrangements, if the pitfalls, the weaknesses of the centralism continues, then decentralization has no meaning. We can also point out that if the new decentralized system is not working properly. It is because of the independent existence of the, for example, DRDA. Almost all the programs except the Jawahar Rozgar Yojana, sponsored and financed by the central and state governments, they are implemented through this DRDA, that is District Rural Development Agency. And as a result, district level ଆପଣ ଦେଖିବେ ଏଇ DRDA ର ଅପରେସନ ପରେ ଗୋଟେ ଡାଇରାର୍କିକାଲ ଶାସନ ରହିଲା, ଦ୍ୱୈତ ଶାସନ। ଆପଣ ଡାଇରାର୍କି ସିଷ୍ଟମ ପଢିଛନ୍ତି ଆମର 99 ଆକ୍ଟ ରେ, 1919 ଆକ୍ଟ ରେ, and all those ଦ୍ୱୈତ ଶାସନ ବ୍ୟବସ୍ଥା ଉପରେ ରହିଲା। DRDA ର ଫଙ୍କସନ ଟା, it almost creates a parallel function. So a hierarchical situation at the district level exists, and this is the reason that in 1996 the central government recommended the merger of DRDA with PRIs, because PRIs and district rural development agencies, they coexist. এটা ଗୋଟେ ଦ୍ୱୈତ ଶାସନ ଉପରେ ହେଲା, hierarchical situation ସୃଷ୍ଟି କଲା। 1996 ରେ ସେଣ୍ଟ୍ରାଲ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ରେକମେଣ୍ଡ କଲା ଯେ ନାଇଁ DRDA ଟାକୁ PRI ସହିତ ମର୍ଜ କରି ଦିଆଯାଉ, or to put DRDA under the control of PRIs। ବୋଲେ ପଞ୍ଚାୟତ ରାଜ ଇନଷ୍ଟିଟ୍ୟୁସନ ଗୁଡାକର ଇମ୍ପୋର୍ଟାନ୍ସ ରହୁନି। କାରଣ ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ଜବାହର ରୋଜଗାର ଯୋଜନା କୁହନ୍ତୁ ବା ବହୁତ ଗୋଟେ ପ୍ଲାନିଂ ଗୁଡାକ, ସେଗୁଡାକ ଫାଇନାନ୍ସ ଗୁଡାକ ସେଣ୍ଟ୍ରାଲ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ କରୁଛି, ତାକୁ DRDA ହିଁ ଅପରେସନାଲାଇଜ କରୁଥିଲା। ତେଣୁ PRI ଗୁଡାକର ଇମ୍ପୋର୍ଟାନ୍ସ କମି ଯାଉଥିଲା, ବିଶେଷ କରି ଡିଷ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ଟ ଲେଭେଲରେ, ଜିଲ୍ଲା ପରିଷଦର କୁହନ୍ତୁ କି ପଞ୍ଚାୟତ ସମିତି ବ୍ଲକ ଲେଭେଲରେ କୁହନ୍ତୁ। ତେଣୁ ଗୋଟେ ସମୟରେ ସେଣ୍ଟ୍ରାଲ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ରେକମେଣ୍ଡ କଲା ଯେ ନାଇଁ, if we want that the PRIs must be effective, so let the DRDA activities must be merged with the PRI, or the function or the activities of the DRDA must be kept under the control of the panchayat raj institutions। ତେବେ এই ପ୍ରକାର hierarchical situation ଆଉ ରହିବ ନାହିଁ। These are the recommendations। And gradually also there are steps taken so that the district planning committees, they have been made effective, and necessary guidelines, procedures are provided by the planning department to prepare the annual plans। And what is another important problem? To ensure effective functioning of the decentralization, it becomes important to facilitate functional relationship in terms of coordination and cooperation between elected representatives and officials। Elected लोक ବା ନିର୍ବାଚିତ ପ୍ରତିନିଧି ଆଉ ବ୍ୟୁରୋକ୍ରାସି ଭିତରେ ଯଦି ଠିକ କୋର୍ଡିନେସନ ନ ଆସିଲା, ତେବେ ମଧ୍ୟ ବିକେନ୍ଦ୍ରୀକରଣ ପ୍ରୋସେସ ଏଫେକ୍ଟିଭ ହେବ ନାହିଁ। But a dominant bureaucracy has become a disturbing trend। The observation says that the chief executive officers of the Jilla Parishad, they enjoy enormous power। They will not implement any resolution in their opinion if in their opinion that resolution is inconsistent with the respective acts। ଦେଖିବାକୁ ଗଲେ ଚିଫ ଏକ୍ଜିକ୍ୟୁଟିଭ ଅଫିସର ମାନଙ୍କ ହାତରେ ଗୋଟେ ଭେଟୋ ପାୱାର ପରି ଟାଇପର ରହିଲା। ଜିଲ୍ଲା ପରିଷଦର ଅନେକ ରିଜଲ୍ୟୁସନକୁ ମଧ୍ୟ ସେମାନେ ଷ୍ଟେଲମେଟ୍ କରିପାରୁଥିଲେ। So dominance of bureaucracy sometimes has become a stumbling block। So in order to make decentralization really effective, what is needed is a proper platform for the rapport, the necessary cooperation can be established between the official executives and the elected members in the three-tier system of Panchayat Raj. Then financial decentralization also is very important, because finance is the key to the success of any planning. Plan without budget or without sufficient provisions for its implementation is a big fiasco. This type of planning has no meaning. So financial decentralization also is very, very important. It involves devolving powers with regard to the taxation, funds and expenditure upon the local bodies. लोकाल बॉडी मान को मध्य सफिशिएंट से माने विभिन्न इंपोर्टेंट आइटम्स तांक अंडर रे दिया जाउ जहां पे से टैक्स दी परिबे तांकर रेवेन्यू को रेज करि परिबे दे कैन रेज देयर ओन फंड्स so devolution of the funds upon panchayat and municipalities by the state is important in order to augment financial capacity of the panchayats or the local bodies, also on the urban side also. So we shall find that what is the road ahead? It is still on a process of experiments. The process of decentralization, it has been underway after the passage of the 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Acts of 1990. And under the new dispensation, after the 73rd and 74th amendments being passed, and under this new dispensation, the panchayats and municipalities, they have been established at all the three tiers in almost all the states in the country. And also elections to these particular local bodies, they have been conducted periodically. The states have taken also measures to transfer functions and devolve funds upon the panchayats and municipalities. But in spite of that, there are also a lot of problems which are yet to be addressed. The experience, it brings to the fore the need of addressing the challenges faced by the panchayats and municipalities to meet the desired standards of governance. And the crucial aspect is, which is to be addressed, are empowerment of the people, transfer of functions and devolution of funds. Another important fact is transparency, accountability. Planning unit and delivery system must be made more effective. And only when in these fields the necessary measures are taken through the necessary legislations or acts, the system of decentralization can be set up in the right perspective. Accountability, transparency both on the part of the officials and also on the part of the elected bodies and all that, representatives. Both of them must be made accountable. Sufficient funds should be available at the disposal of the local bodies so that they can take up sufficient measures for developmental activities and all that. Then with this, we can touch upon what is called empowerment, which is one of the components of decentralized development. Empowerment. ସଶକ୍ତିକରଣ ଆମେ ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ ଗୋଟେ ଯୁଗରେ ପହଞ୍ଚିଛେ ଆମେ empowerment it has become a catchword. Women empowerment with the weaker section of the society, the empowerment of the marginalized in this society. So now there is a growing need of empowerment. What does it mean? ସଶକ୍ତିକରଣର ଅର୍ଥ କ'ଣ? It means different things to different people. Empowerment stands for the expansion of assets and capabilities of the poor people to participate in and negotiate with, influence and control, and hold accountable institutions that affect their lives. So, according to the country report of Government of India, which is presented at Fourth World Conference on Women and Beijing, they define it like this: empowerment means working from a position of enforced powerlessness to one of power. Powerlessness position ରୁ power କୁ ଯିବା ବା powerful situation କୁ ଯିବାଟା ହେଉଛି empowerment, a process of empowerment, ସଶକ୍ତିକରଣ ପ୍ରକ୍ରିୟା. So it is a process whereby ଧର ଗୋଟେ discussion ହେଲା women empowerment ଉପରେ ଆମେ କହିବା, ତାର ଅର୍ଥ କ'ଣ? ତାର ଅର୍ଥ it's a process whereby women become able to organize themselves to increase their own self-reliance, to assert their own independent rights, to make choices, to control resource, which will assist in challenging and eliminating their own subordination. ସେମିତି ଆମେ ଯଦି deprived section of empowerment ବିଷୟରେ କହିବା, that is also a process where they can be brought out from the situation of powerlessness to a situation of power. So it means being free to explore the best way of doing things, not just doing what you are told. तुमको स्वाधीनता दियागला तमे केमती निजर इच्छा मुताबिक गोटे कार्य को करि परिबो in the rightful manner, not to do what you are told to do. जने व्यक्ति को कहो you do this, then he is doing that. This is not empowerment. When he has a free hand, he has given the scope to exercise his full rights, and ample opportunity has been granted so that from the situation of powerlessness to the powerfulness he can jump over. That process is the process of empowerment. So there are many definitions. For example, Nelly Stromquist defines it as a process to change the distribution of power both in interpersonal relations and in institutions throughout society. There are many definitions. So now we can find that there is a need for empowerment. प्रत्येक सेक्शन सोसाइटी समाज प्रत्येक स्तर लोक माने empowerment चाहती. They want to exercise their own rights. They want to have a free hand in taking decisions. They can decide what is best for them. So initiatives and attempts that have been made in various levels of the society for empowerment. There are national attempts, there are grassroots initiatives, and also empowerment within the operational framework. At all the levels, attempts have been made. With the dawn of independence, adoption of the Republican Constitution, several legal measures were taken by the Parliament and Government of India. For example, to increase the status of women, SCs, STs, various reservation policies they have been taken up. The Constitution guarantees equal rights of participation in the political process. Then we have a chapter directive principle of state policy, also which have adequate provisions for empowering the weaker sections of the society, including women, scheduled castes, and scheduled tribes. And in Article 39A, 39D, 39C, Article 42 of the Constitution, sufficient directives have been made in the direction of empowerment, for the empowerment of the weaker sections of the society. And this is all about the attempts in the national level. The constitutional provisions itself also point out that attempts and provisions they have been made so that empowerment can be given to all the sections of the, particularly weaker sections of the society. And then also there are also other attempts at the national level. For example, creation of separate departments for the weak. For you see, for many years there is no such department like Department of Women and Child Welfare. But now departments of women and child welfare they have been instituted in many governments, including state governments and also in the nation. So exclusive departments of women and child development, particularly, it has been initiated in 1983. Setting up of women development cooperatives and corporations, women development corporations. They point out the fact that at the national level that attempts have been made. Then also there is National Commission for Women, National Commission for Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes. They have been constituted. To investigate into matters for other backward classes, OBCs and all that, it has been constituted. So this is the provision to empower weaker sections of the society in the national level. Then empowerment of grassroots or at the grassroots level, like Panchayat Raj institutions. ଆମେ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ସେଟା ପଢୁଥିଲେ PRIs ମାନଙ୍କରେ 73rd 74th amendment ରେ urban local bodies ମାନଙ୍କରେ ମଧ୍ୟ have been given women and SCs and STs. Then empowerment is also one of the major objectives of the third generation of panchayats in India. It is not simply a statutory provision to be given from above. It is rather a process to be reactivated with initiatives from below. से प्रकार उद्यम बा उत्साहटा तल स्तरରୁ ଆସିବା ଦରକାର, from the bottom. So it looks for a transformation in the pre-existing structural arrangements in the society. which legitimizes the structure of subordinate. That means any structural arrangement or institution which are so far meant for subordinating women or other sections of the society, like SCs and STs, they must get themselves transformed. ସେଇ ପ୍ରକାର ଅନୁଷ୍ଠାନରେ ସଫିସିଏଣ୍ଟ ଟ୍ରାନ୍ସଫର୍ମେସନ ବା ପରିବର୍ତ୍ତନ ଆସିବା ଦରକାର। କୋଉ ପ୍ରକାର ଅନୁଷ୍ଠାନ? ଯୋଉଗୁଡ଼ିକ ୱିମେନ୍ କୁହନ୍ତୁ, ମାର୍ଜିନାଲ ସେକ୍ସନ ମାନଙ୍କର ପୋଜିସନଟାକୁ ଯୋଉମାନେ ପରପେଚୁଏଟ୍ କରୁଥିଲେ, ତାକୁ କଣ୍ଟିନ୍ୟୁ କରିବାରେ ସହାୟକ ହଉଥିଲେ, ସେଇ ପ୍ରକାର ଇନଷ୍ଟିଟ୍ୟୁସନରେ ସଫିସିଏଣ୍ଟ ଟ୍ରାନ୍ସଫର୍ମେସନ ମଷ୍ଟ ବି ବ୍ରଟ୍। ସୋ ଅପରେସନାଲ ଫ୍ରେମୱାର୍କ ସେଥିରୁ କୁହାଗଲା, ତାକୁ ଆମେ modify କରିବା ଦରକାର। Over the last decades, both intensive and extensive experimentations in this direction were undertaken by Panchayat Raj institutions. You know, we need not repeat the 73rd 74th amendment रे ये operational framework को मध्य transform करागला, so that empowerment of women and various other sections of the society, weaker sections of the society, can be possible. And you know, you can from your texts find out few statistical studies. In Haryana, for the first time, a large number of women took up posts such as panchas, numbering 17,918, sarpanchas 1,978, members of Panchayat Samiti 806, chairpersons of Panchayat Samiti 37, like that. प्रत्येक स्टेट में ए प्रकार सर्वे करा जाइथिबो, few instances only have been given. So far as the participation in the urban local bodies are concerned, we find more or less similar situations. For example, in 2002, the urban local bodies in that election, the statistics have been given. In Kerala, it proves that given an opportunity, women are capable of assuming powerful positions and making meaningful decisions and implementing them too. You know, in case of Uttar Pradesh, it was found that the empowerment process certainly has brought about a marked change in the knowledge, attitude, status, style of life, and self-identity of elected women. Empowerment and participation in election has given them a chance to talk and understand politics of power. So the elected women gave the priority to the issues like employment generation for women, improving health and drinking water facilities, solving the problems of the atrocities against women. এই ইস্যু গুড়াকরে সেমানে আটেনশন বেশি দেলে, যে উইমেন ମାନଙ୍କ ভিতরে কেମିତି সফিসিଏଣ୍ଟ এমপ্লয়মেন্ট জেনারেশন করা যাই পারিব, সেମାନଙ୍କର হেলথ প্রভিজন, ড্রিঙ্কিং ওয়াটার প্রভিজন ফ্যাসিলিটিজ এগুড়া দୃଷ୍ଟି ଦିଆଯିବ, and also women ମାନଙ୍କ ପ୍ରତି ହେଉଥିବା ନିର୍ଯାତନାକୁ କେମିତି ରୋକିବାକୁ ହେବ ତା ବିଷୟରେ ସଫିସିଏଣ୍ଟ ମେଜର୍ସ ହେବାକୁ ପଡ଼ିବ। এই ଏରିଆ ଗୁଡାକରେ sufficient attention the women they have started giving attention. These are the priority issues for them. And further, in this process of empowerment, there are also problems. The process also has certain constraints, certain limitations. And mere legislative enactments do not ensure effectiveness. केवल गोटे लॉ तैयारी करदेले एम्पावरमेंट ही जीवन कारण गोटे सोसाइटी आवर सोसाइटी सो ट्रेडिशन ड्रिवन सो कंजर्वेटिव values existing values are so deep seated जे ताकू अप्रूव कला नकला पर्यंत attitudinal changes नकला पर्यंत mere legislation is not enough. One of the constraints which was witnessed was that initially the women SCs and STs OBCs they were hesitant to come forward and contest election. प्रथमे ऑब्जर्व करा गला जे सब सुविधा दबा सत्वे मध्य the members of the women group, the members of OBC, SCs and STs, they are not coming forward to participate in the process of election, to contest election. Because traditionally, they have been infused with the idea that these are certain roles which they must perform. They cannot come out of that. So first thing is that there is the requirement of a change in the attitude. So mere legislation is not enough to help this situation. Laws have provided scope to contest. किंतु प्रथमे देखा गला जे इस स्फीयर रे कॉन्टेस्ट करिया में हटात आगे भर होई करी वुमेन बा एससी एसटी ग्रुप रो मेंबर मान से माने आसुना हन. That means these classes after all they have been subjected to exploitation. एते दीर्घ दिन धरी सेमान ऊपर गोटे सामाजिक रेस्ट्रिक्शन तक इमति लदी दिया जायथिला हठात से माने ता भितरु फ्रीली they could not come out. So the initial stages, the politically powerful made them contest election for their own political gains. And after getting elected, they worked under the command of the guidance of the males, the proxies मुजुटा को आमे बर्तन डिस्कशन करथुले जे तांको गोटे डोमिनेंट सेक्शन सेमन कोलारे law is providing, law is now giving you the opportunity to contest, come out, elect, contest the election. এবং ସେମାନେ ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ elected ହବାରେ ସହାୟକ ହେଲେ. But you know what really happened? They are the persons behind the decision making. For example, initial stage because they help the women to come out of their cells or the SCs and STs to come out of their cell and contest. They virtually dictate. They act as proxies in decision makings. So, as proxies, signing and stamping on the dotted line was the function of these particular representatives. Initially, some actual decision this one constraint. Next, some electoral outcome also showed a few instances of violence against women. The women belonging to the traditionally marginalized groups were at the receiving end because of upper caste atrocities. And apart from this, there are some other cases of sexual harassments against them. These are few instances of limitations, bottlenecks. And another problem coming in the way of empowerment was that women were not permitted to enter the unreserved constituencies. ସେମାନେ କେବଳ reserved constituency ରେ contest କରୁଥିଲେ. This was revealed by one of the elected women in Andhra Pradesh once. He said, the quota system for women has become a policy of reservation for men. ତେଣୁ କୋଟା ସିଷ୍ଟମ ଦ୍ୱାରା ସିଏ ଗୋଟେ ଭଲ ଷ୍ଟେଟମେଣ୍ଟ ଦେଲେ that it encourages a reservation policy for male members only. ତାର ଅର୍ଥ ଅନରିଜର୍ଭ ସିଟରେ ୱିମେନ୍ ମାନଙ୍କୁ ଅନେକ ଜାଗାରେ କଣ୍ଟେଷ୍ଟ କରିବାକୁ ପ୍ରିଭେଣ୍ଟ କରାହଉଥିଲା. So this is one of the comments given by one elected women representative in Andhra Pradesh. She further said that beyond the one-third reservation, all other spaces are reserved and held by the male members of the society. So this is a serious restriction. Similarly, women leaders have complained about the roster system of reservation. And another major problem was widespread caste classes witnessing during election. Caste violence टा देखो elections में बहुत जगह इतना rampant है, which is another major problem. These are the instances of physical assault of Dalit representatives in some cases. Some studies in Tamil Nadu, in some of the states, they have revealed this. This is another hurdle. The caste class, the caste violence. And another hurdle is, on the way of empowerment, is the nominating attitude of the male colleagues. And another constraint is the unrestrained nature of the representatives. As a result, after getting elected, practically half the term goes by only trying to understand the job. Hence, they are not able to perform well. So, untrained nature of the representatives is another problem. Representative पळै आसिले मध्य अनेक समय women बा marginalized section representative माने untrained सेमानकर political wisdom, previous experience in political field was lacking. तेणु सेमानकर tenure अधारु अधिका समय केवल प्रोब्लेम टा बा समस्या टा को बुझिबारे पड़ौथला. So virtually they find little time to perform. Hence, they are not able to perform well and justify their position as elected representatives of the people. I think you understand. These are some of the very practical problems. You know, empowerment टा केवल by law तैयारी करदेले कौन हबो? So, what can be the road ahead? तेबे आगो को empowerment रो भविष्यतटा कौन? बा हमें ताकू really effective केमती करि परिबा? First and foremost, in order to ensure effective participation, is to make empowerment meaningful. It is essential that weaker sections are made aware of their responsibilities. They must get well trained in the field of politics regarding policy making, policy implementation, and what is what. Then only empowerment on their part shall be really effective. Secondly, education is an important variable of empowerment. अपना पंचायत राज इंस्टीट्यूशन कहतु किंबा अर्बन लोकल बॉडीज कथा कहतु, एजुकेशन ऑन पॉलिटिक्स, legislation, day-to-day procedure of the broader political and panchayat raj system is also important. The sufficient education सेमान को इम्पार्ट करिया दरकार. Thirdly, so this is the road ahead. हमें तो effective करिया को हेले empowerment को. These are the remedies. Proper training becomes a must in order to make empowerment effective and really fruitful. Then some minimum level of education qualification should be mandatory. अनेक मने सजेस्ट करନ୍ତି जे contest करे का ଗୋଟେ minimum education level को ମଧ୍ୟ mandatory करा जाए. And you know education बाद ମଧ୍ୟ ଆଉ କିଛି କିଛି स्कॉलर्स अन्य प्रकार ମଧ୍ୟ qualifications रखिଛନ୍ତି. For example, reservation should be accompanied by female literacy, independent voting rights, change of status in family and society. Likewise, ତା ସହିତ attitudinal changes of the male members of the society is also are very much required. Women empowerment legislation सहित বা other measures सहित sufficient care must be taken that attitudinal changes must be there so far as the male members are concerned. Attitudinal change it also required is also required in the upper caste representatives so that the representatives of the marginalized sections like SCs, STs and OBCs they can assimilate with the representatives of the general categories. Then with these measures the road ahead आगुक थिबा रास्ता एम्पावरमेंट पे जो रास्ताटा आहुरी सरल एवं प्रशस्त हो जिवो. The process of empowerment will be effective, meaningful and fruitful. Then another important thing is, I think today we shall discuss and conclude with this. I think another 15 to 20 minutes are left. By 7:30 we must close. That is components of decentralized development like socio-economic and politico-administrative. Socio-economic component, then politico-administrative component. You know, decentralization means आमे एते जो सब आमे डिस्कशन कले तार सारवत्ता कोन. What is the pith? Transfer of political, administrative and financial powers to local government bodies which have received attention all over the world. And decentralization is advocated as an important component of policies to improve governance in developing countries and is often regarded as a necessary precondition for socio-economic and political development. What is that socio-economic component? You know, with all our discussions so far, we can say decentralization cannot be successful until and unless the weaker sections participate in the decision-making process. And access of the weaker sections to rural and urban power structures has been ensured legally by enlarging the social base of the system. And you know, decentralization working टाको आम स्टडी कला बेले आम देखिबा तार उभय नेगेटिव और पॉजिटिव ट्रेंड्स रहिछि. The negative trends were visible initially, especially where panchayats were headed by SC persons and women. This is because of the fact that most of the members belonging to these groups were found to be illiterate, less articulate, especially they are less experienced or inexperienced. So after getting elected, virtually it has become a compulsion on their part that they are working under the guidance of some command. ଆମେ যেটা ডিসকস করতে as proxies, signing and stamping on the dotted lines only. ସେମାନେ ଗୋଟେ ଖାଲି proxy ପରି କାମ କରୁଥିଲେ. Somebody was dictating them from behind the scene. They are only proxies. ସେମାନେ କେବଳ କୋଉଠି signature ହବ ତାର କେବଳ signing on the dotted lines. So these are all negative trends. Positive trend ଭିତରେ କ'ଣ ହେଲା? That the electoral outcome, especially in case of women, it has been quite encouraging in certain cases. It's a positive trend. Women contested with great confidence. In many cases, the percentage of women who got elected to the PRIs exceeded the reserve quota. And also in case of SCs, STs and OBCs, almost the same picture is reflected. In some states like Karnataka, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, you shall find their participation was quite effective and they were able to assert their position and power. And this happens only where the elected representatives are educated and experienced. देखो educational के impact. Positive trend है only in case of the experienced and educated representatives that happens. जदि गोटे women representative किंबा गोटे SC ST representative जे कि inexperienced completely, has no exposure, has no education, is bound to act as a proxy, is bound to sign on the dotted lines. But in case of educated, literate and more experienced representatives, that is not the case. There is a positive trend. So this is a welcome step in the direction of improving the socio-economic status of these sections. So we find that the conscientious participation and assertiveness of members and sarpanchas, especially women sarpanchas, has already become a legend. For example, some examples that have been given in Kutch region of Gujarat, most of the village panchayats were headed by young and middle-aged women, making determined efforts to overcome caste and functional divisions of the villages. Very positivistic. Quite a optimistic picture. What about the other component? This is also socio-economic component, political administrative component of decentralization. Like the socio-economic component, the politico-administrative component of decentralized development, which is very important. The two components, for example, socio-economic and politico-administrative, they are not separated actually. Not that they are opposite camps. They go hand in hand. ସେମାନେ ହାତ ଧରା ଧରିକି ଯାଇଛନ୍ତି. ଆମେ ଯୋଉ सोशो इकोनॉमिक कॉन्टेक्स्ट विषय कहले କିନ୍ତୁ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଯୋଉ ପොଲିଟିକାଲ ଆଡମିନିଷ୍ଟ୍ରେଟିଭ କମ୍ପୋନେଣ୍ଟ ବିଷୟରେ ମଧ୍ୟ ବିଚାର କରୁଛେ they go hand in hand. To realize the dreams of Mahatma Gandhi, so far as the Panchayat Raj, success of Panchayat Raj is concerned, and to make the decentralized development successful, it becomes important on the part of the state governments to sincerely implement the politico-administrative provisions of 73rd and 74th Amendments. These acts have put greater responsibility on the Panchayat Raj institutions and also on the urban local bodies for overall development of the villages and also the cities, both on the rural side and also on the urban side. First thing is, so far as these components are concerned, I mean political administrative, accountability is the major component. It's the key element because it accountability ବା ଗୋଟେ ଦାୟିତ୍ୱବୋଧତା କୁ ନ୍ୟସ୍ତ କରିବା ହେଉଛି ପ୍ରଥମ key to success. Otherwise, the whole system shall go berserk. ଯଦି responsibility fix କରାହେବନି, because that is the key element for instilling the confidence in the people about local institutions. It is a precondition for creating trust in the minds of the people. Keeping the accountability principle in view, all the states have made provisions for the financial audit. ସେଠି ପ୍ରତ୍ୟେକ state ତାଙ୍କର provision କରିଛନ୍ତି financial audit. Regarding the modus operandi, it is basically ensured through Gram Sabha, where the Panchayat Raj members are expected to answer to the queries of the people. The institutions are held responsible. Then also another component, political administrative component, is representation to MLAs and MPs and local bodies. Local bodies ମାନଙ୍କରେ MLA ଏବଂ MP ମାନଙ୍କର ପ୍ରତିନିଧିତ୍ୱକୁ ଏନସିଓର କରିବା, that is another element. In most of the states, it is observed, MLAs and MPs are the members of block panchayats, intermediate level, block level, and also in the top level of the PRI, that is Jilla Parishad level. And they are also having voting rights in the meetings of the concerned panchayats. States like Andhra Pradesh, Assam, Bihar, Himachal Pradesh, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, ଏଠି ଇଣ୍ଟରମିଡିଏଟ୍ ଷ୍ଟେବଲରେ ଏବଂ ଟପ୍ ସ୍ତରରେ, ତାହେଲେ ବ୍ଲକ ଲେଭେଲରେ ବା ପଞ୍ଚାୟତ ସମିତି ଲେଭେଲରେ ଏବଂ ଜିଲ୍ଲା ପରିଷଦ ଲେଭେଲରେ MLA and MP ମାନଙ୍କୁ ଡ୍ୟୁ ରିପ୍ରେଜେଣ୍ଟେସନ ଦିଆଯାଇଛି. But also in certain states there are exceptions also. And the provision of representation and voting right to the MLAs, ତାମାନେ ତାଙ୍କର କନସର୍ନ ଡିସିସନ ହେଲା ବେଳେ ଯୋଉ MLA MP ମାନେ ସେଇ ଧର ପଞ୍ଚାୟତ ସମିତି ଜୁରିସଡିକ୍ସନ ଭିତରେ ଅଛନ୍ତି ବା ସେଇ ଜିଲ୍ଲାର ଯୋଉମାନେ MLA ବା MP ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ ଭୋଟିଂ ରାଇଟ୍ ମଧ୍ୟ ଦିଆଯାଏ ଡିସିସନ ନେଲା ବେଳେ. And in the capacity of ex officio members, they have been questioned on the ground that to lead to over domination of the panchayat by them. The Jilla Parishad presidents, they have highly resented on this issue in order to maintain its sanctity. The panchayat members feel overwhelmed and marginalized by the presence of MLAs and MPs in the panchayat's feelings and hesitate to speak in the meetings. These are the critical part. बेले बेले MLAs and MPs माननकु जदि हमें voting right जो सपक्ष रे कहला बेले जो माने members of panchayat committee and jilla parishad, they feel hesitant, they feel overwhelmed by them, they feel that they have been dominated by the presence or by the rights of the MPs and MLAs. In the panchayat sub meetings, naturally, the original members they are hesitant to speak in the meetings in the presence of MPs and MLAs. That is how many original members of Jilla Parishad and Panchayat Samiti they feel about that. Then also, so far as this administrative or political component is concerned, another important aspect is role of bureaucracy. You know, I think another 7 8 minutes left. I can summarize. Bureaucracy is always important, starting from the national government and state government. In the local government also, their role is very vital. The effective functioning of the Panchayat Raj institutions and urban local bodies, they depend on facilitative functional relationship in terms of coordination and cooperation between elected and official functionaries. Good example of in case of the Jilla Stara, district collector is the official head. In case of the Panchayat Samiti, BDO is the official head. So in the Panchayat Samiti level, good cooperation between the BDO and the Panchayat Samiti chairman is needed. If they are in tussle, development activities shall be hampered. If there is a tussle between the collector and also the Jilla Parishad chairman, there shall be it shall act as a hindering factor so far as the development process is concerned. So, in other words, administrative wing should function under the deliberative wing. That is, bureaucracy should be answerable and accountable to the elected political leadership. देखो तो almost same principle works here. ଆମର ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ ଏଇ ଇସ୍ୟୁଟା this also happens so far as the state politics is concerned. In public administration ଆପଣ ମାନେ ଗୋଟେ the relationship between the political executive and bureaucracy ବିଷୟରେ ପଢୁଛନ୍ତି. Ministers are the political executives, but his secretary constitutes the bureaucracy, means the permanent executive. Bureaucrat is supposed to guide the political executive properly, but he cannot override. Bureaucracy or civil servant cannot override the political executive. Likewise, there is a saying that the officials working in various levels of the Panchayat Raj institution or urban development bodies, they are responsible and accountable to the elected political leadership. ସେମାନେ political leader को override करिवे नहीं. That is a sound principle. Because in a democracy, they represent the voice of the people. Bureaucracy represent one officialdom. They are not the voice of the people. So, we shall find that even this role of bureaucracy, or while dissecting their impact and influence on the system, we shall find there are disturbing trends. This is due to the fact that state acts have given ample scope for the state governments through bureaucracy to exercise control. आपने पंचायत राज इंस्टीट्यूशन पढ़ला बेले लोकल सेल्फ गवर्नमेंट विषय पढ़ला बेले जानिचंती there are various tools and instruments through which the state government can exercise control over the local bodies. Major thing is financial assistance, the grant in aid. These are the major instruments through which the state government exercises influence on the local bodies. एवं से influence टा कहाँ through exercise करा जाए? The bureaucrats, the officials, because the officials they represent the government. So this is definitely a very disturbing trend. जो माने पंचायत राज इंस्टीट्यूशन बा लोकल बॉडीज रो प्रोटैगनिस्ट से माने कहंती that this creates a highly disturbing trend in the function or in the efficacy of one democratic decentralization system. And Also, I have given you the idea this role of DRDA, District Rural Development Agency. It has an independent existence. କିନ୍ତୁ ବେଳେବେଳେ ଯୋଉଟାକି ଆମେ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଆମେ ଡିସ୍କସ୍ କରୁଥିଲେ ଯେ ଡିଆର୍ଡିଏ ସେଇଥିପାଇଁ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ତାର ଫଙ୍କସନଟାକୁ ପିଆରଆଇଜର ଅଣ୍ଡରକୁ ବା କଣ୍ଟ୍ରୋଲ ଅଫ୍ ପିଆରଆଇଜକୁ ଆଣିବା ପାଇଁ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କଲା ଅଦରୱାଇଜ ଦେयर ଇଜ ଏ ବିଗ୍ contest between the two bodies, the PRIs and the DRDA. And when the new system of decentralized system became operational, DRDA was the principal organ at the district level to oversee the implementation of different rural development programs. ସେଥିପାଇଁ ପ୍ରାଇମେସି ଅଫ୍ ଇମ୍ପୋର୍ଟାନ୍ସଟା ବେଳେବେଳେ DRDA କୁ ଦିଆଗଲା. So the surveys and the researchers reveal that except for some states, DRDA still has an independent status. କିଛି ପ୍ରଦେଶ ବା ରାଜ୍ୟକୁ ଛାଡ଼ିଦେଲେ ଏବେ ମଧ୍ୟ ତାର ଇଣ୍ଡିପେଣ୍ଡେଣ୍ଟ ଷ୍ଟାଟସ୍ ରହିଛି. So it becomes clear that various states governments they have taken measures for merging DRDA with Jila Parishad. ଅନେକ ସେମାନଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ ଗୋଟେ କନଫ୍ଲିକ୍ଟ ଫଙ୍କସନାଲ କନଫ୍ଲିକ୍ଟ ଆସୁଥିବା ହେତୁ ଅନେକ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ ମଧ୍ୟ डिसीजन करते सेମାନଙ୍କୁ ଗୋଟେ ମର୍ଜ କରି ଦିଆଯାଉ to provide effective control of जिला परिषद over DRDA. जिला परिषद को कंट्रोल करिवार कैपेसिटी दिया जाऊ. And also reference can be given here to district planning committee. The DPCs they are empowered to prepare and draft development plans for the entire district. And so far as formation of the DPC or district planning commission is concerned, district planning committee, the surveys they have revealed that in a number of states the DPC or the district planning committee has not been constituted, while in some states like Odisha and also Haryana, it is in the process of formation and all that. I think there is only 1 minute or 2 minutes left. So let me summarize, because already we have we're in a prolonged session of 2 hours. It is time to take necessary steps and measures to strengthen the socio-economic and politico-administrative components. So measures must be taken so that conflicting areas should go. There should be adequate cooperation among various agencies associated with this. So, as planning can be a vital tool in the operational allocation of the resources, and it can facilitate the process of resource matching, which are very crucial in the development process. So the DPC must have experts from various fields. Some measures have been suggested like that. The chairperson of the district planning committee should be from among the elected members of Jila Parishad or municipality. The DPC should be given the exclusive task of planning. The DPC should primarily guide and facilitate panchayats, and it may organize training programs to impart technical skills to personnel engaged in the plan formulation and all that. It is again suggested that the People's Watch Committee should be constituted from among the senior citizens, those who are non-political by nature, at the district and block level, so that there can be citizen surveillance over the function of the decentralized functioning of this particular PRIs or urban local bodies. So, from the political administrative angle, a lot has yet to be achieved, but these are some of the measures. Besides, there are also other measures. I have only given few important measures, and until and unless these provisions are implemented, the measures are taken in the right direction with right earnestness, the political administrative components cannot be achieved. So sufficient measures and attention in future years must be taken so that the efficacy or successful achievement through this democratic decentralization can be possible. I think with this I end up because it is always 7:32. Thank you for the patient listening. If any question, we can devote few minutes. Otherwise, we shall quit. Hello. Any question from the participant side? Hello, dear participants.
Yes, sir.
I think I have already discussed the three chapters in a more or less a detailed style. So, if any question from your side, you can put. Otherwise, we shall close up this session. We can quit. Should we close now? Hello? Should we wind up the session? Should we close the session now? Hello, dear
Yes,
participants.
sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.